Welcome to the first annual post show. I'm just kidding. Annual would be great. It was crazy. End one and start another one. I never tested it or tried it. I wrapped my brain around it, and then we did it. And now I hear there's a hum. So welcome to the post show. Hopefully we have good audio. It looks like I have levels on here and levels up there. And I have Conjoling still. I have Freddie and I have Doug Force. So thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight. I really want to, I didn't want to talk too in depth about this post show. Let me go into the other chat here. And just so I can keep an eye on you guys and on my iPhone, I have the chat over here as well. But once I take that camera full screen, I can't see the YouTube channel. But it looks like our stream is good. Make sure the audio sounds good. Please let me know. I can hear the audio on my phone. I always turn it up just a little bit to make sure that it's going. I started a little bit before the clock ran out. I didn't know if I needed a 5-minute clock or 4-minute clock. I probably will only do maybe a 3-minute clock, long enough to be able to fill up a drink and get a chance to catch my breath. They say that if you talk for 45 minutes, it's, I think it was like a couple, 3 or 4 quarts of water go through your system. And I used to do a lot of speaking, training, teaching, and things like that. So this has definitely helped me build up those muscles again, and also the faculties that we use to process and look at chats and run equipment, and it is quite intensive. So keep that in mind if you are going to live stream. So welcome to the post show. The post show is kind of a way for me to keep motivated and keep excited about 2022. Not that the live show isn't fulfilling, it is fulfilling. It fills a niche of mine, and that is live streaming technology, live streaming tools. It also is a school master because it forces me to look into new technology, to learn about it, do videos on it, and then also the whole concept of Ratso is going to force me to use those muscles that I haven't used for a long time. If you've ever worked out before, if you ever have done all of that stuff, when you are doing ventriloquism, and I wanted to open the show and talk a little bit about that, at a high level, you are playing the role of you, which I do all the time, and Ratso. The personalities of puppets and ventriloquism typically are like versions of you, right? So, for instance, if I have a certain friend and we like to kind of jab each other back and forth, they'll see that side of me. If they are serious and they want to see the serious side of me, then they're going to get that serious side of me. And we know the great comic duos in the world and in history, especially if you've been around for 60 or longer years as I have, then you know the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis and all of these different people that work great together. Well, ventriloquism is very much capturing that, even though you, as the ventriloquist, have to play both roles. And we'll talk more about that in the post show. This is not going to be about puppets and about ventriloquism, but that is just one part of my world behind the live stream, and that's what this segment is going to focus on. Tonight, I really want to talk about the holidays, and every year, you know, when the calendar turns, lots of us set goals, and I actually have a couple pages in this notebook filled up. I wrote down ideas for things that I have for next year, not just with my live stream. I have a page in here that has to do with Ratso, and you know, I believe things happen for a reason, and so I think this show is going to motivate me to get cobwebs out in that part of my world, but not just there, with different videos that I want to do. I'm trying to decide what tech I need to add. I mean, I'm pretty well equipped in this studio, but I am doing more mobile stuff. Like, again, I may be doing a trip this week up north and a couple hours away to help a venue there with their live stream. So obviously you got to continue flexing your muscles if you want to continue doing your trade And I do have a business called Life Journey Productions. I do promo videos, I do tutorials, I do training. I help people with live streaming setups. I help people with social media. I did content for 2.5 years for a large company. So I did all kinds of content, to working with TV companies, shooting commercials, to doing Facebook, to YouTube, doing YouTube videos, live streaming, all of that, as well as just content, blog writing, podcasting, and then produce a podcast for my wife, which is both video and audio. And so all of those are things that you got to flex, and there's technology changing. And again, if I can use a camera, because now there's technology to keep it on for a whole live stream, then yeah, I'm all in. I'll learn about that. Or if I need to do some instant replay, and there's an app for your iPad that will let you do instant replay with a hyperdeck, then that may be perfect for a client. So I want to know that those apps are out there. And I'm actually going to be loading that hyper slow, I believe is what it's called. I'm going to be loading that onto my iPad during this next year, probably before the end of January. And eventually that'll come into my show and I'll demo it, but I don't do a lot of instant replay. But that will be perfect for a Ratso segment. So I'll just hit 15 seconds and hit replay and play that funny part over again right from my iPad, if we decide to use instant replay that way. So if there's any questions or ideas that you guys have for the live stream outside of Ratso, then I'd like to know tonight, because again, this is going to be a development project. I do have some things tonight I want to talk about. I got up because I didn't know if the buzz was coming from my mobile microphone. So let me switch to this camera real quick. And so I have the book. It's not unwrapped. In fact, this piece of belt is just paper that covers it and comes off. So we're going to unwrap that in here in a minute. I also have this. And I wanted to show this to you guys. This is the size of the box. And again, this was from my youngest son. And he did Legos all the time when he was a kid. And I thought it was great. It's an activity you can do with them. Occasionally I would build with him, but not like a project like this. So not only did I get this Boba Fett for Christmas, but he was really excited about building it with me. So we're going to actually look at the time lapse of us building Boba Fett here in a minute. But again, behind the scenes, when you're not on a live camera, or you're not editing video, or you're not doing a still image or taking photographs, whatever that you do to do live production, or helping a venue set up their equipment, answering their questions, making lower third graphics, animated graphics, answering lots of questions online about hyperdecks. People struggle with the hyperdecks, how to use them. Even had a person reach out tonight that wants to know why they can't see their videos in their hyperdeck. And so if you haven't ever had a hyperdeck or you just get one, those are things that I answer all the time. So having projects like this, and it was great to sit down with my youngest son, and he's been on the channel before. My #1 performing video last year was the NZXT computer that he bought. We unboxed it because I have one right here. And in this view, you can see it. It's right here on my desk. And that is my NZXT computer. I've got equipment piled on top of it right now. And this is a view that I haven't used in a long time. I used to stream from this view, but I stream the other way typically on the Tuesday lives. And I am going to be doing some stuff from this view on our post show. So the box is that big, right? So here's my hand in comparison to the box. So I had no idea how big this was, and I haven't built a Lego since my son was really, really young, and he's now in his adult years. And so let me grab this without breaking it. So there he is. That's Boba Fett's Lego mask. And we built this together a few nights ago. I got out the DJI action camera. I set it for 2 seconds shot, time lapse. Then I tried 3 seconds. And then I took some post footage. And what we realized after we got it all built, he actually came in my studio the next day and said, "Dad, something's wrong. It's been bugging me." And we had this face piece down a little bit. You're going to see that in the time lapse. And we adjusted it. So now he totally matches the box. and I had the still image tonight with the box behind Boba Fett. And if you notice the intro video, it actually went to a blurred portrait mode in my iPhone, and then it went to a non-portrait mode photograph at the same angle that brought everything in the background and the foreground in focus. And we're going to talk a little bit about photo mode in the iPhone, both in the video for cinema mode and photo mode for photography. So I'll try not to look at the monitor tonight. I'll try over here because it's so much higher on the camera. But that is the Boba Fett that we built. And just in a minute, we're going to look at the time lapse. So again, it has nothing to do with live streaming tech, but we use tech. The DJI Action camera has a setting in it for time lapse, and then you can do motion time lapse with my little DJI Mimo, which is really cool. So for B-roll, that's what I use these for. I don't necessarily like the super wide DJI Action camera, but it's great for time lapses on the back porch. If you want to get the sky and the clouds going, you can use time lapse mode. But if you just fire this puppy up, and if you're used to GoPros or you know this at all, you can just go left and you have different settings for ISO and all of that. And if you pull down, you have all of the settings, and you can tether this to your phone. You can stream from it now from your phone. So you have to log into the device. My battery is super low right now, so I'm not going to be able to show you all of the stuff. But if you scroll up, you have the ability to set time lapse when you're in time lapse mode. And so I can go for 2 seconds. I can go for 3 seconds. I can go for 1 second time lapse, depending on how fast you want the time lapse to go. And if you're doing a long project, probably 2 or 3 seconds is best. So people aren't watching everything. But if you want them to see the details, then you might as well do slow-mo, which is available inside this DJI camera too. And this will go 4K. For photographs as well as for video. And again, like I said, the battery is almost dead because it was almost on the whole time for the first stream. So time lapse is cool, and I like to use it every so often in my intro reel and my outro reel. And so you're going to see a time lapse here in just a minute of our actually building Boba Fett, and I wanted to share that with you guys who are on the post show with me. Let me take a look to see who's all here. Again, we have Controlling Technologies, and lots of feedback here coming in. Also got Stop and Think, got Freddie here. And anybody else that might be watching this, let's switch back to the other camera. Welcome, and thank you for joining me. Again, we're going to show you some behind-the-scenes things of things that took place. I also have a Batman that I built by myself, Batmobile back there. And if we have time tonight, I will bust that out. And it's going to go on my shelf with all my other 1966 Batmobiles, and I have a number of those. Someone wants to buy one of those for me almost every year, and I really didn't want any more of the metal ones or Hot Wheel ones. Never thought much about the Lego version, but I was walking by it when we were out shopping for the kids with my wife, and I said, well, that's cool, and picked up the box and said, man, I haven't done Legos since Bryson was very young. And he has Legos, tons of Legos underneath his bed that he hasn't busted out for years and years and years, but he's not going to throw them away. So again, Legos are just something you can do that are relaxing and gives you the ability to connect with family. And we can't build Legos together very easily because we're at a distance. But I think it's a great thing to share with you guys what I was able to do with my boy, and also show you a time lapse from the DJI Action camera. Now in this time lapse, there's a mixture of still images that I captured from the time lapse to kind of stop camera and show you some specific stages of the build. And then there's actually some video footage at the end of this video to give you kind of a real good look with great light of Boba Fett. And so let's roll that video right now. Bang. Video done. Yes. There's fuzz on my microphone. So guess what I was doing with my mic unmuted, cleaning fuzz off of my microphone. You guys can check out the chat. I'm getting some interesting comments in the chat. Let's start here. Here we go from Freddie. Yep, Freddie, we are going again. Doug Force says, I'm early for the late show. That's classic. I loved that. Conjoined Technologies, Red Leader, check in. I love that. Star Wars fans, you have to know that line. Red Leader. Luke taking out the Death Star. Already hit the like button. Thank you, Freddie. Hank from South Carolina, too. Thank you, South Carolina. Audio and video, okay. Appreciate it. AV, okay. Audio, video that's from Stop and Think. And Freddie, thank you guys for looking out for me. You're going to need an IV. I'm taking fluids in. That's why I filtered in some videos so I can get off camera for a few minutes. Yeah, it does take a lot of energy. That's why we aren't going to go forever tonight with the post show. But I did have some things to show you and share with you. Let's see. Conjoined Technologies. You're going to need an IV. And is there fuzz on your microphone? Yeah, there was hair and fuzz. And I think I got most of it off. And I don't really pay attention to it. I'm using this microphone every day. I'll even tether my phone and take phone calls with my headphones on because this is great audio and I can really, really intently listen. I don't do that all the time, but lots of calls in here I do that way. Suggestion on your countdown clock, add to 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You might add 1:15 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Greenwich? Wow, am I showing my ignorance here? I'm not knowing how to pronounce that. If your worldwide audience, yeah, I know. I've been kind of figuring out, what do you do, right? I want people to know it's Pacific Standard Time. That's the 4 p.m. I'm talking about for the early show, live show, this post show, which is going to be kind of different than the live show. So yeah, I need to add that. Sometimes I put it in the notes, sometimes I put it in the title, but I haven't put time from other locations because I literally have people coming in from all over. I've had people from the East Coast here in the States. I've had them from South America. I've had them from Europe. I've had them from Australia, all over. And that's just to name a few. Canada. And I don't know exactly how to do that. You should teach a class on ventriloquism. Yeah, I might do that. I got to tell you guys, the whole ventriloquist thing hasn't really been something I even thought about for talking about live streaming. But I started, had this interest in it when I was younger. I'm two ventriloquists at the time, and we'll talk more about that in a show where we talk about ventriloquism influenced me. I did see Jeff Denham come up through the ranks. I was watching him perform in the children's teenage version of the annual ventriloquist conference that happens still to this day. And I used to have a subscription to their little magazine that they'd send out. And I was just solely fascinated about everything to do with not just ventriloquist puppets. I was always very fascinated with some of the silent silent puppets that you would see on like Art Linkletter. There's some famous, quiet, non-speaking ventriloquist puppets, and quite fascinating that you could animate those. And we did some of that in my early years working with children. I had a monkey that you could move his head and his arms, and I was the only one that could understand his sign language, and so I would do the dialogue and even interpreting what he was saying, and we would rehearse that. I had teenagers behind the stage, and I was inside where on the audience side of the stage doing all these conversations, and it was quite fascinating, quite fun for me, to be honest with you. But it's a young man's game. It takes lots of hours. I think for every 1 hour of live ventriloquism I did, I probably had 20 to 50 hours behind the scenes. And mainly, you're not working on the routine. You're working on the dynamics and being able to switch characters and animating the puppet and your reaction and making sure that I don't become the puppet role and the puppet doesn't become my role. And unless it's a comedy and we switch roles, which we've done a few times as well. And I've had people ask me if I could do more than one puppet at a time. And yes, I have had two puppets, ventriloquist puppets on my arms at the same time, because that's usually where they reside. And I even had kind of a dream to do kind of a tiki room type parrot animated scene, but the technology, when I had the vision for it, was so hard to get my hands on. So it's not quite on my bucket list, but it should be, because I thought about it, even had drawings at one point. And at the same time, I came up with the idea for Ratso, which came from a number of ideas that I had that came out a character. So anyway, enough about that. Did you ever discount on RVs when you were doing that? Did I discount? You mean like do discounts? Back in the day when I was selling RVs, which ended almost 3 years ago now, everything was discounted. And nowadays the market's changed so much because of what's happened in the world. RVs are actually going above retail, and they're hard to get. There was a time where the manufacturers lost all their orders, and so they closed down manufacturing. They couldn't even run their plants because of what was going on in the world. And most of those plants, most of the RVs are made here in the United States and Canada, some overseas. A lot of smaller ones are made in the Europe area. They probably are specializing in smaller RVs, and the best ones are over there. Been there for years, and that's not necessarily a great part of the U.S. manufacturing, but travel trailers, which are tow behind, fifth wheels, which go on the bed of a truck, and motorhomes, which can be like the Class C, small B pluses, Class A's, all of those, we discounted all of them. And so if that's your question, I hope I answered that. So, but I don't have access to them now. I do have connections. So if you live in the United States and you want to purchase an RV, let me know, and I will tell you who to go see and get you to be able to bypass some of the challenges that you go through, meeting a new salesperson, all that. So I can get your foot in the door and get you connected, but you're going to still want someone that's boots on the ground to be able to take care of you and answer your questions. And with RVs, there's a lot of things that they need to take care of. And an RV deal could last 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And sometimes deliveries were 2 weeks. And so I would be working with a client weeks before and weeks after in those days. And like I said, the last 2.5 years, I was in the RV industry. I was doing mostly content, shooting videos about RVs. And then I went back on the floor for about 8 or 9 months because I wanted to kind of leave where I started, selling RVs, not just talking about RVs. Okay. That's the class on ventriloquism. Did you ever discount RVs when you were doing that? Yes. So is this the Q&A show? I guess. Ventriloquism with a COVID mask is much easier. I used this line just the other day in my kitchen. So good job, man. It's very much easier and a lot easier to throw your voice. More muffled, but a lot easier not to get caught moving your lips. You might get caught moving your mask, but not your lips. Who is your favorite Star Wars character? That's really hard. I would say probably for years and years and years it was Luke. And then I really like Rey. Something about her story captivated me in the new trilogy, but there's so many characters in that universe. It's hard to pick a favorite. I mean, I'm a huge R2-D2 fan. There's been a time or two where I thought it would be really cool. They have some kits where you can build an R2-D2. Actually, I think it's a European company that does these memberships, and you get parts of it every month. If you guys like to know more about that, I'll let you know. I've looked at that. I've never signed up for it, but they actually have an R2-D2 you can build. And so there's lots of characters. Chewbacca, that whole chess set scene was quite fascinating and very memorable for me. I'm super excited about Obi-Wan Kenobi coming back. The modern version, obviously, my favorite version of Obi-Wan Kenobi is the original version. But obviously, if McGregor's coming back to play that role on HBO, I'm all in. I bet you're a good dad. Yeah, you know, I've tried to be. I have really, really, really high standards, especially now that I'm older. I was petrified to be a father, guys, when I first had my first kid. My dad was an engineer, very super intelligent, worked on nuclear reactors, developed the core for nuclear fission where they could pull the rods out part of the way and save some of the rod life, save thousands and thousands of dollars. My dad was a part of that group that did all that design work in Westinghouse. Very intelligent. He liked to hunt, so we did some hunting together. But it was really hard for us to connect because I'm very much a creative. My dad's very much a deep thinker, intellectual. He's a lot like my sister, who scored off the charts when she was going through school. Still super, super intelligent. And I have that creative side of me. I liked art. I liked photography. I did a lot of drawing when I was a kid. I've done airbrushing, painting. I've done stipple work, which is tiny dots where you create a whole picture out of dots. I've done all kinds of that when I was younger. Don't do much artwork anymore. I use Adobe Illustrator and After Effects and do most of my design work now more in that creative, putting parts together. I don't like to draw with any of the mobile pens. I don't do any of that anymore. I like to just create inside the software. So, you know, I try to be a good dad connecting with my kids. I have 4 kids, so 3 boys and 1 girl, and then obviously grandkids now. And I am wanting to connect with them, and I don't know how much longer I have alive. I want to connect with them. I want them to have good memories with me. I want to make memories. I think that's exciting to have these videos on my channel so that they could watch those if something happened to me. So I think that's cool. They don't really tune into my live streams. They're not really into the tech. One son is in bands and music and plays guitar. He's very musical. My youngest son is really into live streaming, playing video games, and he is in the room next to me, and he does some Twitch stuff, live streaming, playing first-person shooter games, is really passionate about that. And so we have some crossover with key lights, and he has a PC that he had built by NZXT. I had one. So we have some common ground. Then we have the Lego thing. You saw him building it with me, and he did 80% of the building because he's the expert. I'm like the little spurt. So, but yeah, I hope that I'm a good dad, and I'm attempting to get better and better at that. And I don't want to have them walk in this room and think that it's way above their head and I don't have time to engage with them. So I'll have grandkids on the microphone. I'll have them push buttons. I've put them on camera before, and they absolutely will beg me to get the puppets out. And again, I haven't practiced. And so I think I'm going to be able to do more of that because of you guys in the very near future. So, man, lots of good stuff here. That's not what I was planning on doing, is just answer questions in the post show, but that's cool. This is going to sound weird, but you are meticulously, I saw this during the video, meticulously groomed, blah, 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 nails perfect. They're not. I bite my nails. I do check my hair before we go live. I try to always, during the week, stay groomed. I had that reputation when I was selling RVs. I wanted my customers to kind of know what to expect when they would see me, so they'd recognize me, to try to be recognizable in person. And then I was also on social media for our company, so I needed to kind of present myself. Now my weight's gone up and down, but I've had kind of this same look for a number of years. Prior to that, I had a different hair thing. You can go back and watch those videos, but I try to present myself the best way I can. You know, I'm kind of dressed down these days. Years and years ago, I was into the suit and tie business mode, but nowadays it's more collared shirts and blue jeans. So I hope that answers you. So thank you. I thought the time lapse was fun. Had to fix it once we realized that we built him wrong. And so I had to reshoot the last part of that time lapse so you guys could see that we caught that and corrected it. I saw which dog? You saw my dog, Zoe, in that video pop up on the couch and back down, and my wife pops on camera and off camera, and you can see us together on her podcast if you go back. And even on my website, there's an interview of her as a client for me, because my wife's actually a client. So I work for her and her business. doing her social media, doing her content, even though she's a part of it. My passion is to train people to be able to do it themselves. Everything they can do on their own, I want them to be able to do when they need to. They can hire me to do it if they want to, but I do not want people codependent with me. I want them to become independent. I believe that that's really mentoring people so that you can eventually have them do what you did for them. You can do it with them, and then you watch them do it and you apply it in the background. That's my philosophy. I've lived that way in sales. I lived that way prior to that with ministry, with youth and children and all of that stuff in that world, as well as did some traveling, high school assemblies, and motivational speaking, all kinds of stuff over the years. And I just believe that you want, your life is valued on making other people have value or helping them add value. You can't make them have value, but you can definitely give them value by how you treat them and talk with them, encourage them. So I just believe it makes the world better. So that's how I've lived my life. And people did that for me when I was younger and lost as a teenager and not really knowing which direction I could go. People came into my world to help me find my way. And over the years, people have continued to help me because my stream has changed and turned just like a river. And there's deep things in my life, and then there's shallow things, just like a river goes through the land. And I hope that helps you understand my philosophy about why I do this channel. And I am passionate about helping people with this technology because I believe that they're helping other people once they learn it. And I get to take some satisfaction in that, even though they may never give me a shout out or ever say they learned it from me. And it's not necessary. It's great for likes and shares to build the algorithm. But in reality, it's connecting with people that I am passionate about. So let's stop for just a second. We'll get back to the Q&A. I want to open this book before we run out of time. I'm going to put my notebook away. I said I was going to do this. So again, I want to break the seal on this book just for the fun of it. And I don't know if any of you guys, let me know if you are a 1966 Batman and Robin fan. I can tell you this, if you do research and you watch some of the documentaries available that are out there, if I can get this open. This plastic's always tight. In fact, I watched someone unbox this, and it took them longer than this to get it open. I do have my handy-dandy pocket knife. I just don't want to touch this thing with a pocket knife, but I have it. And that helped break the seal and then get me stuck again. You know how they wrap these things. They're just really tight just to protect the cover, and it's a hardback book. And like I said in the earlier conversation, this piece comes off, and then you just have the book. So, not that this is an unboxing, but technically I guess it kind of is. And so there you go. So the reason I got this is I talk about Batman all the time. I wanted my grandkids. I don't have the TV series. I've thought about getting it on Blu-ray. There's just other things that I want to watch that have to do with technology, but I may end up enjoying this with one of my grandkids, and that's why I got this book, because I do want it to be a conversational piece when they come in here, and something like this on my table can be really exciting for them. So you have history from the Bat phone to Adam West, who passed away recently. So you have the index, and again, there's just some really cool things in here, some of the art from the TV series, talking about how this whole series came about. And in those days, there was some really cool TV going on, and superheroes were super popular. At that particular time, Batman was down the list, but the property was available for this TV station. They decided to do the Batman series. The pilot cost almost $1 million, and it didn't go over very well. In fact, people that were Batman fans had their own idea of what Batman should really be, and they weren't super excited about this Batman. But soon as it aired on television, young kids and parents alike just fell in love with the characters. A word came out called camp, which is basically super dumb but super funny. It's kind of the idea of what campy is all about. And so it goes through all the characters and the story, and then the special guests and the costumes and all of that. And you can see, I'm not going to go through every page, but it's a very, very big book, all about the TV series. So you have lots of characters through here, and people, photographs that were taken, the Bat Cave, all of that is in this book. And again, I do run a studio here. I do have a live stream. I do videos inside this room. I do them outside of this room. But when people do come in here, and I do like to bring them in here so they can see how serious I am. And then occasionally I do my podcast in here with my wife, and I have had other people come in here and do some talking head interview videos in here. And so I want them to be able to connect with me, including my grandkids. And that's why I got this book out. Now, I did say that I was going to use that camera angle. So in the sake of not saying something and not following through, let me cut back to that angle here. I think we're ready here. And then we want the overhead camera. So I can cut to that. So here's the book. And I have my other keyboard here that's for my PC. I'm going to move that onto the table. That's why I have the table up tonight. And let's turn some pages here before the night is out. And I'm going to cut to some of the stuff that you guys haven't seen. This is about the producer, hiring the producer, Horowitz, to create a scripting blitz. So, and actually it only went 3 seasons, so you can see some arts. You can see some bat signal art, all kinds of things here that go into this. And if you're interested in video production or television, it's quite fascinating for someone like me, because I talked about in one of my live streams about sets. I want to make some changes in here. So this is also designed to inspire me. I don't know if I'll do something with green screen. I'd like to do something actually with the room, so that, you know, it just creates a better environment. And that's why we're going to brainstorm about Ratso next week in the live. Anyway, lots of cool pages here, the different lights they were using. That's going to be fascinating for me. Characters in the series, all kinds of stuff, even from the movie. Just some amazing pictures and stories here, from color to black and white to drawings. And then again, in the back, there's even stuff about the different characters, the Batmobile. And so if you are into the 1966 Batman, this is a great little, there's a couple books out there that are modern that talk about the series, but there you go. That is the Batman, a celebration of the classic TV series by Bob Garcia and Joe Desris, I believe is how it's pronounced. And it's about $50 retail, and I think I paid like $38 for it. Came in like 5 days. And again, it's an investment in the table here in the studio. So not a big room, but when guests come in, that may be out, may not be out, depending on if it applies to who that person is. So let's cut back to camera 2 and get back into the Q&A here. So we've talked about Ratso just a little bit, and I want to get your guys' ideas about Ratso. And here's what I'm thinking. I mean, Ratso is going to co-host, right? So it's going to be real ventriloquist moments, but I wanted to apply to the conversation. And I may use the table and do stand-up sets right back here where you guys can watch and have some dialogue, or may do it here at the desk. I would love to get your input, serious input, in the chat tonight and the weeks that come, and even next week's conversation. So be thinking about that and get ready to give me some input of what you guys would like to see. And Ratso's not going to be in the whole show. There's just going to be moments in some of the shows, the post shows, where Ratso will be a part of it. I want to bring other people in here. in this second part, and even have some guests come in through SuperSource, through Zoom, or through Video Ninja, or however we decide to do that, maybe even my streaming bridge, and even some people that have been on my channel with me in the chat. I want to have conversations with them live about things that I'm also passionate about, so look forward to that. Okay, so talked about the dog. That was Zoe. She's white. Wheat Thins, no, those were almond crackers that my wife loves, and I copped and ate during that long Lego build. I think it was kind of maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes start to finish. So you guys saw all that in a time lapse. It took like 3 minutes. Thank you for the super cool time lapse. We'll talk about the class on ventriloquism. I'd love to have you guys attend if I do that class. Okay, day in the life of Keith. Are you ready? This is not that exciting. I'm working from home now. I left the RV industry because there was all these other paths I wanted to pursue with the goal of having a number of streams of income. If YouTube becomes a stream of income, great. That's not my focus, though. I hope so. Obviously, the links occasionally, the Amazon associate links, bring in some money, and I usually use that to get things like you see. I've added some lights, and I think just about everything I end up buying is either a majority of my money or at least 20 or 30% if it's something inexpensive like one of these lights, which aren't cheap. It's like $69, I think, now. Or the MC lights are right around $92, $93 if you buy those from Aperture. So obviously those passions drove me to leave selling RVs full time and then come home, assist my wife at home, assist us with her podcast, help build her website, build her business, which is thriving right now. She has more clients than she can handle. So I handle the day-to-day operations. Last night or yesterday afternoon after dark, 2.5 hours out in 2 driveways, shoveling icy snow, just to make sure that today is a big business day for my wife, to make sure everything's clear, no one's slipping on ice, and that our driveway looks like it's ready for business. And then next door are my in-laws, and I maintain their driveway as well. And then we have that relationship with them side by side with us, and that was because of my father-in-law's health failing. So I have a number of clients that I take phone calls from, do live stream training with them, answer questions. I do some installs at different facilities, and I give advice to people that can't afford to hire me occasionally. I have some clients that do a monthly program with me, and so a lot of the time I'm either editing that or working with that or scheduling those appointments, and then learning tech, continuing to build my YouTube channel. I haven't had a lot of time to do extra videos, and we even watch some grandkids during the week. So I'm not retired. I'm getting retreaded and have new knowledge and new techniques and new abilities. But so the days can vary depending on what projects I have in front of me. I spend pretty much a solid day getting ready for these live streams. So a lot of people don't have that kind of time. I dedicate that kind of time. So I might be making still images that don't always end up on the show. But I want to make sure I have all the pieces together. And then once you get all the videos made and you get them on a disc, that's when you create your macros for your live show so that you don't have them get out of sync. One thing that's really cool about Mix Effect is that you can, Companion, is that you can actually choose a HybridX title name. So even if you added other videos onto your disk, it doesn't get confused. The control software doesn't really memorize a name. And so I've actually added an extra video to my SD card, and I'll pull it out here real quick. And I did this tonight an hour before our live stream. And by adding that extra video, everything got out of sync. So I had to take it off of this disk, and then all my macros worked again. I can't even imagine what it would have been like if I had to recreate all those macros. And so, and you know, the HybridX, you can have more than one disk. So I do tutorials on this equipment. This week I had a couple new consults where I do a free 1-hour consult. And a lot of times those people become clients for a month or 2 or 3. And that's what happened this week. I got a text today asking me to go help look at some older equipment, help them decide what they need to replace to get to the next level for their weekly live stream. So I don't know if that covers a whole day. I mean, I've cooked for my wife. She is busy doing home birth. She's a midwife, so she actually leaves the house at any time, and I run the house when she's gone and have things ready for her when she gets back. That's just what happens when you're working out of the house. Now, if I'm out of town, then, my kids step up, or we just, someone else like my family watches the dog. So I hope that helps you answer some of those questions. I need a drink. So that could be a day. A Sunday might be completely different. I do attend a local church here that my family went to from the time I was a young teenager. And just recently I saw what they were doing with tech, and I wanted to go check it out. And so we started going there. I don't get to go every single Sunday just because of other things going on in my world, but I love to go there. I've known the guy that's running all their tech since he was my son's drummer in his original band. And so we have huge history. He's one of the best sound techs in the area, incredibly gifted, works for a sound company, does large concerts for major artists all over the Northwest when those are happening. And so just reinitiating that relationship, helping him answer questions. And they use a lot of Blackmagic design equipment, software, and other software as well. So that may be something I do on a weekend if I'm not doing something here in my studio, and that's at a whole nother level, and I'm learning that level as well. And that's why back a while on my channel, we actually talked about some live venues, and I went and looked at some of those venues. And most of my relationships over the years have been with churches because of just my history. They will let me come in and see what they were doing, and a lot of them have added or have been doing live streaming, video production, and all in those venues. And then I have a relationship with some other venues as well that I can go visit. And one is a local business that does concerts, and they haven't done a lot in the last year and a half, but I'm looking forward to a relationship with them when they get going again. And that's through my oldest son, actually knows them really well. And my history is 25 years ago. But my son's history is present with that company. So, okay, let's go through here. That's a day in the life. What is it like working with your wife? I love it. We've worked together a couple different times in our careers, and obviously working together is different than living together. So you have to kind of understand that dynamic. I respect her business. She respects my business. They coexist in the same facility. This isn't the first time that we have worked together where we are both working for a company. And we did that years ago with a screen print embroidery business that I ran for a friend of mine. And so I was managing it, and she was the head of sales, and we did that together. And so it's quite fun, and doesn't mean it doesn't have its challenges, just like working with anybody. But I absolutely love it. And to be able to use my skills to elevate her game has been one of the great pleasures of my life. And so hope that answers that question. That is a AC Delco that I got in my Christmas stocking years ago. So just AC Delco. And so thank you for liking my knife. The 1966 Batman is the best, and the Batmobile is uber classic. Yeah, I love the Batmobile. In fact, Jazz Inc. has a new Batmobile coming out. It's probably going to be one of the best models made out there, but very, very expensive, including LED lights. And so if you haven't gone over to Jazz Inc., he just released a recent video today updating people on the stuff that they have releasing, and they're having major issues getting supplies like everybody else. And so he was just letting everybody that has paid ahead know what was going on. Let's see here. David, hi, Keith. You have an electrical sound coming through. Yeah, I heard that earlier. I don't know what it is, David. So obviously I'm going to have to isolate that after the live, but I appreciate that. I definitely have some flutter. And I think it's because I'm using too much of my laptop and it's coming through the USB into my Rodecaster Pro. I've heard that sound before, and it happens anytime I add too many USB items to my laptop, and it's very, very hot in here. So I apologize for that. We're going to be off the air soon, and hopefully that isn't going to destroy the live stream. So I like the vintage Batman that came from Tony from Quick Tech Solutions, but also a huge Superman fan as well. Yeah, I was a Superman fan as a kid, but I got to tell you, Batman really kind of owns that big place in my heart. Grew up watching that series of Batman and Robin when I was a teenager, and not that much into that earlier version of Batman, though. Watched it too. Keith, I mentioned in the earlier show that I am 85. I worked at ABC TV in New York from 1959 to 1972. The Batman series ran on ABC in primetime for 3 seasons from 1966 to 1968. That's from Hank at Stop and Think. So that's cool history with that show and that company. So, wow, that's really, really cool. Maybe someday we can chat about that in a Zoom call. I'd love to hear more of your history. Thank you for sharing that, Hank. That's really, really cool. You ask ideas for the live stream. Maybe you can have a drum sound guy as a guest one day to talk about sound details. Yeah. So that's the local sound tech that I told you about. He is a very, 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 very good drummer and a sound tech. And I'd love to have Matt on the live stream. So maybe that's something we'll do. Maybe he would love to be a guest, and we'll sit at the table and have a conversation about live sound. They mix sound differently for their live stream from their live room, and that's really what you need to do if you're going to be a large venue doing that. And that's usually the last thing a lot of these large venues do, is separate live sound from live sound. So live stage sound and live sound on live streams are 2 different things, and they really need to be mixed differently. So, okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to do in the live show tonight, is give you guys an opportunity to ask me more in-depth questions. The behind the live streamer conversation, wanted to share Boba Fett and that video, wanted to show you guys that new book that I just got. One more things I wanted to give you guys a peek of. I also built this Lego Batmobile, which was really fun. I built this all by myself, just I think yesterday or the day before, right here on the table, and so it's not focusing very well. So that's cool as well. And again, I don't have any other Legos. Haven't really collected Legos, but the Batmobile really caught my attention, and my wife decided that needed to be a present for me on the holiday. So excited about that. She brought me this Batmobile last year, and you can see that in some of my videos. It actually lights up, and so it's pretty cool. And I rarely turn the lights on unless I'm shooting B-roll. But I love this Batmobile. And then I've got a pewter Batman and a pewter Robin that go with this Batmobile. You're probably going to ask me the brand, and I'm trying to remember who she got this from. It's Jada Toys. So in the front opens up, and you can see kind of the engine, and the back opens up too, but it's really hard to get opened up, so I'm not going to take time to try to do that on camera. Maybe another day we'll look deeper into Batman. And if I'm not careful, my little pewter Batman fell off, bounced, and actually put a little crease in my screen, 4K screen of my Asus laptop. So I look down there all the time, and I think there's something on my screen, and it actually took out some of the LEDs. So you got to be careful with those, especially if they're on your shelf above your laptop. So again, guys, that's the post show. We want to talk about Ratso next week. Don't be surprised if he makes in a little appearance. Because I've been promising that and kind of always planned on having him here next Tuesday. Want to do a little bit more work with him. And it'll be either a video appearance or a live appearance. I haven't decided yet, or both. So keep that on your calendars. And that would be in the post show, not in the live show. The first show, this is live as well. So any other questions that you might have, you can put them in the comments. I appreciate you guys being with me tonight and enjoying this. I want to wish you all a Happy New Year. My outro video is kind of some clips from my Happy New Year. Thanking everybody for subscribing. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for helping me get there. That's just a goal. And then we'll see what our goals are after that and what we decide to do with the extra options that I'll have after I hit 1,000 subscribers, because we've already hit all the other viewer marks and all the other things that you need to do to become monetized, but I'm not sure how I feel about commercials playing on the videos. So, I fast forward through them when I'm watching my dish TV. So, or my, not my dish TV, but my cable TV, whatever it is, I can't even think. So I am out of steam. Need to go eat some dinner. I need to get some liquid in there and stop listening to my voice. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you learned more about the behind the scenes. I plan on having my wife on in the post show. Hopefully we'll maybe do eventually a little Lego build here in the post show and other things with video equipment. Guests coming on, want to have Adam Tao back. We've been talking about when the next thing we should do together is. And so we're going to look at that replay app when I get it downloaded. I got a coupon from those guys. And so I'm going to download that and try it out here in the studio, and lots of other behind the scenes stuff. And I'm not just going to do live in here. I'm going to do lives in other parts of the house eventually. So looking forward to the weather breaking and being able to do a live stream from the porch. And if you know anything about me, I love the porch, and I want to share that in the post show as well. So we'll see when that takes place. So it is 20 after. I wanted to be off the air by quarter after. So I'm going to bid you farewell, and I hope you'll stay for the outro, because it's my way of saying Happy New Year and celebrating that. And you might see a little B-roll of the Batman if you watch this. So outro, post show, and we will see you next week. Same time, same station. I can't remember the line, but you fill it in for me. Later, guys. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Cheers.